Hello, and welcome to the very first LinkedIn Stories webinar. I am your host, Tara Furiani. Before I get things kicked off, I want to share a little bit about LinkedIn Stories with everybody. And I'm going to jump over and share my screen with all of you and jump into our Not the HR Lady, Don't Suck as a Boss LinkedIn collaboration. Let's jump on in. Have to just go over here to my present for all of you. All right, now I'm going to share our screen. Perfect. Just to make sure everybody can see what I am doing, I want to go back to here. Everybody, can you just give me a quick shout, Terry or Gabriella, if you guys can see my screen? I just want to make sure you can see what I'm seeing. Cool. Everybody's got a picture of LinkedIn Stories. Wonderful. Lovely. I am so glad you can all see the screen. That is perfect. So LinkedIn is launching Stories, as you guys can see. It's a new content sharing platform and strategy that allows for us to share everyday personal and professional moments with our network. So what does it mean for you? I use LinkedIn in a lot of different ways. I put stuff that's going on with my kiddos, successes and wins that I have, lots of different things to share. The purpose of not this webinar, but a little bit about this webinar is to kind of share different ways that you can use stories to help build your professional brand, connect with your teams, do some different leading in different ways, and really have a different approach to sharing your awesome content, which we all want to see, of course. Let's go to the next guy here. So different content pillars. This is a place for you to share things you do at work. Like I said, things you do around the house, things you do at work, things relevant to your work. It can be just to your connections. It can be public. You can even do, and this is a really cool feature they just added, you can link a URL. So if you guys are on your computers right now and happen to be somewhere near LinkedIn, go and check it out. My stories actually talk about this particular session and go through several of our slides that we're going to go through that I recreated for Stories, and I actually linked them right to my website. So you guys can now do that. And then when you're on that story, you just swipe on up and it takes you to your website or whatever other link you're trying to share with other people. It's really cool. Some do's and don'ts. I'm not going to read this to you guys. This is not the purpose of our thing today, but there are some posting do's and don'ts. Basically, the guides are, if you ask yourself, do you want people to see this content? If the answer is yes, do it. Just make sure that you're not a jerk about it. But I know everybody on today's session is not those people. We're sharing good, reputable information, fun about ourselves, stuff that's coming up, using it as a real tool. But do make sure you check out the terms of service. I don't want anybody to get kicked off or booted like I have been. Everybody knows. Some tips and tricks. Create engaging content. So today, a perfect example is you're on a webinar with me right now. And the beauty is when this is over or even during, you can click on my stories and get basically the summary of the 6 different components of leadership that we're going to talk about today, of not sucking as a boss. I've listed those all out. Quick read, some six different key phrases with 5 different attributes or things to think about for each of those when considering your leadership journey. So that's one way that you can use it to supplement some of your other content that you put out there. Again, a lot of people are using Clubhouse. A lot of people use stories on Instagram, on Facebook. I don't think anybody's using them on Twitter, frankly. But here on LinkedIn, this is a great way to drive people as well to some of your upcoming events and your works. So definitely check it out. And of course, it's a great opportunity to expand your professional network. It runs on a different set of algorithms, I think. So I get random messages from second and third connections that I wouldn't have otherwise connected to because they don't necessarily see my content in the same way. So really interesting, a really interesting tool where you can tag people. They have some new graphics up that look really neat. And I really encourage you guys to check it out. It is kind of an interesting tool. And it certainly does help to add a little bit of extra content to your content, a little more promotion. Now, we're in for the good stuff. We are going to get started on the real reason we are all here today, and that is for my course, Don't Suck as a Boss, an entertainment lover's guide to being a better leader. I am Tara Furiani, and I am so excited to be hosting the very first LinkedIn webinar. It is really exciting to be partnered with an organization like LinkedIn, and I'm really looking forward to bringing you an abbreviated version of my new course that I'm putting out. After spending 20 years in the world of work, I founded Not the HR Lady, a people and executive consultancy firm. And we help organizations all over the world become more people-first strategists, really have a strategy tied to our people systems, our people processes, really investing and understanding the ROI of employees. In addition to that, I also have a popular web show, which premieres tonight, season 2, episode 1 at 7 o'clock. I hope to see everybody there. We have a live after show with some of your favorites at 8. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But my whole mission is to have created this organization that really is a movement toward all things people and no BS. Our mission is honestly really simple: to create a better world of work for everybody. Being a top corporate HR executive in the C-suite for 12 years while building, scaling, reimagining, and leading teams over 100 people at organizations over 10,000 people, I have literally seen it all. I have real world experience, and I'm largely considered an expert in the leadership space by my peers, colleagues, and businesses all over the world. I also help organizations with their PR and executive brand management, executive team building and communication, and a whole lot of other stuff. I regularly speak at events on authenticity, leading people, the ROI of people, and I'm really excited to do that again here with you today. So you know a little bit about my professional credentials. I have certifications in Predictive Index, DISC, Myers-Briggs, Franklin Covey. I also have a bachelor's degree in marketing, a master's in organizational leadership, and a master's in psychology. I've been doing this work for quite some time, and I really, really, really do enjoy it. But all of that aside, I'm also a mom to 7 wonderful human children. Yes, human children, 7 of them. It's bananas. While also being an executive, I am really, everything I just mentioned about my professional life is nothing compared to my personal life. 7 great kids. I love to sing. I'm a huge movie lover. And of course, I do love a good wine. But all that aside, I want to talk about leadership and not sucking as a boss today. So let's jump in. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to talk about communication. And I want to show you a little video.
What's the point? As for me, I am Luigi Vampa, a smuggler and a thief. My men and I have come to this island to bury alive one of our number who attempted to keep some stolen gold for himself instead of sharing it with his comrades. Interestingly enough, there are some of his more loyal friends who are insisting that I grant him mercy, which of course I cannot do, or I will quickly lose control of the whole crew. That's why you are such a fortunate find. Why is that? You provide me with a way to show a little mercy to Jacopo, that maggot you see tied up over there, while at the same time not appearing weak. And as a special treat, the lads will get to see a little sport as well. How do I accomplish all this? We watch you and Jacopo fight to the death. If Jacopo wins, we welcome him back to the crew. If you win, I have given Jacopo the chance to leave, even if he did not take advantage of it, and you can take his place on the boat. What if I win and I don't want to be a smuggler? Then we slit your throat and we're a bit short-handed. I find smuggling is the life for me and would be delighted to kill your friend the maggot. Oh, and by the way, Jacopo is the best knife fighter I've ever seen. Perhaps you should get out more. Release Jacopo and give him back his knife. Then we'll let the games begin. Get up, maggot.
Do not move an eyelash.
Signor Vampa, allow Jacopo to live. He's already suffered enough with the prospect of being buried alive. Men that wanted to see some sport have seen it. Those who wanted mercy for Jacopo will get it. And by keeping me in Jacopo, you will have yet another skilled sailor and fighter for your crew.
It's a deal.
That is one of my just absolute favorite movies. And I think
What's the point?
Oops, sorry guys. I think there is so much to be gleaned from it. And so I want to share a little bit about that right now. So we learned a couple of lessons during that clip. And the first thing is communication, right? Like communicating is so absolutely critical. And the Count of Monte Cristo in that specific scene, I think, displays it really well. Luigi Vampa, if you think about it this way, is basically the CEO. He's the head of the smugglers, you know? Edmond Dantes, he's the one who washed up on the beach, if you're not familiar with it, from the Chateau d'If, has to both manage up and manage down after defeating Jacopo. That was the maggot. He uses the following communication skills that every leader must possess. First of all, be transparent. So he explained to the leader, right? So Dantes, who was not the boss, explains to Luigi Vampa that his logic is kind of flawed, right? He defeats him, of course, but he explains to him that you have, I'm not going to kill him because that's against who I am. But what I am going to do is explain to you how this could be done differently, how we can allow for everybody here to win and really consider some different alternatives to what the leader has already decided, which was death. And what does the leader say? The leader says, yes, absolutely, that you can, in fact, keep Jacopo alive. And it does a couple of different things. The first, I think, thing that it does is it demonstrates transparency. So first of all, Signor Vampa, or the CEO, the head smuggler, he's incredibly transparent about the situation. If you recall, Dantes says, well, what happens if I don't want to join your crew? And he says, well, we're going to slit your throat and we'll be a bit shorthanded. So he's very clear about the expectations and what's going to happen next. Now, you know, what Dantes really had to do was listen. What was he actually solving for? And if you remember, he shares it at the end. Some of the guys who wanted to see sport have seen it. Other guys who wanted mercy for Jacopo will get it. And now, instead of having one less person on your crew or somebody just the same number of people, because Dantes would replace him, now instead you have two strong knife fighters. And so what does that do? Jacopo is his man forever. It builds loyalty. That creates a strong bond. That leader went to bat for that employee. But in order to do that, he had to create a story. He had to build the story in his head. He had to really figure out what was happening and how he was going to articulate it. And then he was clear. He gets to the very end and then proposes a different situation, gives more information, and then at the end of the day, it was going to be a win-win for everybody. There's more smugglers, more pillaging of villages that get to happen, and nobody gets to die. It's a win-win, and it's clearly communicated. I think that between Luigi Vampa as a CEO, being very intentional, knowing what he has to do next, knowing that he needs to remain in control of the situation or other people will just walk away, that's critical. And that has everything to do with communication. Let's jump to the next step. Be accountable. I'm going to show you a quick clip of the movie Bring It On.
You guys enjoy the show? Yes, were the ethnic festivities to your liking today?
You guys are awesome.
Really? Ready to share those trophies?
Can we just beat these buffies down so I can go home? I'm on curfew, girl.
Look, there's no need for that. Oh, you know what? She's right. So then we'd be doing them a favor. So then they could feel good about sending Raggedy Ann up here to jack us for our cheers. Raggedy Ann. Ugly redhead with a video camera permanently attached to her hand. Y'all been coming up here for years trying to steal our routines. And we just love seeing them on ESPN. What are you talking about? Burr, it's cold in here. I said there must be some toros in the atmosphere. I know you didn't think a white girl made that shit up. Our free cheer service is over as of this moment.
Over.
Finito. Guys, like every time we get some, here y'all come trying to steal it, putting some blonde hair on it, and calling it something different. We've had the best squad around for years, but no one's been able to see what we can do. Oh, but you better believe all that's going to change this year. I'm captain, and I guarantee you we will make it to nationals. So just hand over the tape you made tonight. We'll call it even for now.
We don't have any tape.
Really, we just came to see the show.
What? Come on, Isis, let me do this.
You know what? Let's go.
Wait a minute. So that's it? We're just gonna let them go?
Yeah. You guys enjoyed the show?
Yes. Sorry, guys. I think I accidentally restarted it, but you get the idea. So here's what I want to talk about in this particular scene. Being accountable means leading by example. So Isis, which is Gabrielle Union's character, she's being strong for her team. The prior leadership allowed for their stuff to just be sold or stole by Raggedy Ann. Right? She would come down there and she would steal their routines. And Isis was not having it. She's the leader now. And she's not going to be accountable for watching the stuff her team is creating on ESPN. She's not going to do it. Same with Torrance, Kirsten Dunst's character. She didn't realize that this was a problem. And now she has a decision to make. A really serious one. Is she going to lead by example and do the right thing? Be accountable to the fact that the cheers, the legacy, the thing they thought they'd created was kind of a lie? Are they good enough to do it on their own, right? That's the big moment. And leading by example, if you know the movie, and it's really old, so I don't think it's a spoiler, but she does the right thing. She goes back. And what she does in her accountability as a leader is heads back to the team. And then she enables accountability for the rest of the team. Hey, everybody, I just learned that we are doing the wrong stuff. We are stealing routines. We are not original, not creative. I want us to do the right thing. I want your support in us doing the right thing moving forward. She's enabling that team and supporting an environment of accountability for actions you may have not even known were happening. Could be something you inherited, much like Torrance did, much like Isis did. Provide support, right? Really giving a foundation for the team to be led in a way that is meaningful. Goes back to that why. Why am I being accountable for not being the person who steals routines? Because I want to provide a supportive environment that's going to get my people to the next level on our own merit. And then building understanding. Where did we go wrong? One of the things I think that is really great to see is watching and listening Torrance really understand and not talk over Isis. She's trying to figure out what is going on because this is new information to her. And it's incredibly important to decide to make the right decision. And being an accountable leader is literally the number one pillar, in my opinion, of being an effective one. So now I want to talk about Allysha. And I'd love, of course, to show you a quote, a movie clip from Up in the Air.
Make about 90 grand a year now. Unemployment is what, $250 a week? Is that one of your positive effects? Well, we'll get to be cozier because I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage on my house, so maybe we can move into a nice fucking one-bedroom apartment somewhere. And I guess without benefits, I'll be able to hold my daughter as she, suffers from her asthma that I won't be able to afford the medication for.
Well, tests have shown that children under moderate trauma have a tendency to apply themselves academically as a method of coping.
Go fuck yourself. That's what my kids will think.
Children's admiration is important to you?
Yeah, it was.
Well, I doubt they ever admired you, Bob.
Hey, asshole, aren't you supposed to be consoling me?
I'm not a shrink, Bob. I'm a wake-up call. You know why kids love athletes?
I don't know, because they screw lingerie models.
No, that's why we love athletes. Kids love athletes because they follow their dreams.
Well, I can't dunk.
No, but you can cook.
What are you talking about?
Your resume says that you minored in French culinary arts. Most students, they're working the fryer at KFC, but you bust tables at Il Picador to support yourself. And then you get out of college and you come and you work here. How much did they first pay you to give up on your dreams?
27 grand a year.
And when were you going to stop and come back and do what makes you happy?
Good question.
I see guys who work at the same company for their entire lives, guys exactly like you. They clock in, they clock out, and they never have a moment of happiness. You have an opportunity here, Bob. This is a rebirth. If not for you, do it for your children.
All right. I happen to love George Clooney's portrayal and Anna Kendrick's portrayal in that film as well. And I think there's so much to allyship. And the thing that struck me the most was how much did they pay you to give up your dream? Now, you might be wondering what that has to do with allyship. So I'll throw a different question back at you. How much are you paid to sweep bad behavior under the rug? Because I'll be the first to admit, as a leader, I have done it. I have been an accepted, not additional compensation, but as a part of my job to sometimes, especially as an HR leader, toe the company line when you kind of know that maybe what we're doing isn't exactly right. And for me, that was the huge wake-up call. I woke up and had the epiphany that I wasn't gonna do that anymore. And I made a change. There's never too soon of a time to change, or too late of a time to change and decide that instead of doing the things that an organization is asking you to do, that goes against everything that you fundamentally believe, it's okay to walk away and it's okay to be scared about it. I want to give a couple of different things that didn't make it into the clip, obviously, because I really just wanted to talk about the not sleeping at night and thinking about when we go into the office and we see harassment, or we've witnessed and experienced, maybe not directly, maybe seen it through others, people getting mistreated. And it has something to do with either the fact that they're a woman, a person of color, someone in the LGBTQ community. It's just so clear. That's just Charlie, the harasser, and we all just are supposed to tolerate that sort of behavior. We're not. Being a leader means that you demonstrate what is the right thing to do, and that includes speaking up. No silent allies. That includes being intolerant of hearing other people make disparaging remarks, however innocuous they might seem. And continually learning. Allyship is something that you have to learn. It has to be grown over time. But as a leader, it is critical that you are a leader for all people. And names and pronouns matter. So for those of you who are wondering why we have pronouns like she, her, or them, they, or he, him on our LinkedIn profile, it's for correct identification. And that's important to us, important to some people. And speaking of, no silent allies. Now I want to jump over to showing respect. And I'd love to show you this quick clip of Miss Aretha. I love it. I could keep going. So what I want to talk about with respect and leadership is first and foremost being confident and taking up your space. You are a leader. Take up your space. Go in and be confident and Be a person to admire, be somebody to be looked up to, be that person that others want to be because of just your amazing presence and your fight and your ability to de-escalate situations and your grace and your intelligence and your ability to like not be intelligent and to let other people take center stage from time to time. I really love the idea of thinking about, giving and accepting help when it comes to leaders. Do you think that Aretha Franklin was simultaneously playing the drums and the guitar while she was doing that amazing belt? No, she needs help from other experts. It's okay if you're not the smartest person in the room. It is okay to check your ego at the door. It is okay to admit that you don't know everything. By doing that, you're empowering people on your team as a leader who do, letting them share and shine with their expertise, really giving them a place to flourish. That's what respect looks like. It's okay to be wrong. Check your ego and be responsive, because if they can't reach you, they're going to reach around you. And then guess what? We don't need you. If you're not available, if you're not present, if you're not taking up the space that you need, if you're not demonstrating appreciation for the expertise your teams bring to the table, you suck as a boss. Showing respect is a critical component of being an effective leader. All right, authenticity, my favorite topic. Let's talk about it. And let's, of course, take a quick clip from the movie Rocket Man. All right, so here's what it is, right? Know yourself. Elton absolutely knew that he was not Reginald. He was Elton. And when I'm not saying that you have to don a fantastical devil-inspired costume, but I mean, do you, all by all means, I think it's fabulous. But know who you are. And if who you are isn't who you want to be today, if being Reginald is not you anymore, if being Elton makes you a lot more you, be Elton. Know who you are. Look in the mirror. Know what you believe in. Find and use that voice. When Elton was not successful as Reginald, when his music career wasn't going in the direction that he wanted it to go, he had to look inside and make a decision. And he decided that the reason he wasn't successful is he was being inauthentic to himself, to people around him. He was not living his life in a way that allowed for the creative and artistic expression to happen. So leave behind Reginald if you need to. Add Elton. If that's who you are, be it and don't settle. Know your beliefs and know people. In the ever-evolving virtual world of work, people are so critical, and your network is the most important. Know people who get you, support you, can help you grow, can challenge you, and that you can do all the same things back for. But more than anything, if you take nothing away from this session but this, think about who you really are. We've all been wearing masks for too long, and I don't mean within COVID. I mean separating the fact that we are not humans outside of the workplace and magically have to become these different humans in the workplace who are not, who are supposed to be perfect, who don't have things outside of work going on in their lives, who just live and breathe work, right? That's not real. And we've spent far too long normalizing putting on masks in the workplace and not embracing authentic selves and authentic leadership. And the change starts with us. If we want to see systemic change in the workplace, we absolutely all need to be a part of this solution. Know what you believe in, know yourself, find and use your voice, don't settle, and grow your network. All right, be trustworthy, don't suck. And we've got one more clip from the movie Mean Girls.
Okay, everybody up.
Miss Norbury had us write out apologies to people that we'd hurt in our...
Okay, everybody up.
Miss Norbury had us write out apologies to people that we'd hurt in our lives.
Alyssa, I'm sorry I called you a gap-toothed bitch. It's not your fault you're so gap-toothed.
Gretchen, I'm sorry I laughed at you that time you got diarrhea at Barnes & Noble. And I'm sorry I told everyone about it. And I'm sorry for repeating it now.
Huh? Laura, I don't hate you because you're fat. You're fat because I hate you.
I just wish we could all get along like we used to in middle school. I wish that I could bake a cake made out of rainbows and smiles, and we'd all eat, be happy.
She doesn't even go here.
Do you even go to this school?
No, I just have a lot of feelings.
Okay, go home.
Sure, I think you're doing a great job.
Thanks, I feel like I'm getting through.
I'm sorry that people are so jealous of me, but I can't help it that I'm popular.
Oh my God. Oh, okay, walk it off. Walk it off.
Okay.
So I want to talk about trust. Trust in the workplace is kind of given, I think, right at the jump, because we're supposed to trust our boss, supposed to trust our employer, but it doesn't come that easy. You have to put in the work. You have to be somebody who's trustworthy. Let me tell you, there is no greater key to success in organizations than sharing the why. Why are we having to scale back on X? Why are we ramping up time for whatever? Why are we doing da, 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 da? There's so many different opportunities for us to answer those questions that we don't. Instead, we decide that they don't need to know, that they're going to do fine on their own, that, that it's not going to be a need to know kind of thing. It's super confidential. A lot of times it is not confidential, and you are going to yield better results by being trustworthy, by sharing information about what they're working toward. So the company's a little strapped for cash. Tell people. If you're honest, if you give opportunities for folks to jump in and help solve some of the problems, that's all anybody wants to do. That's why we work, right? We work to pay bills. We work to feed our families. We work because we're passionate about it, but we also want to feel fulfilled in the workplace. And if we're just, as leaders, giving people tasks instead of meaningful information about what their work is going to produce, the results it's going to yield, how it's going to change the organization, we're doing them a huge disservice because they deserve trust. When are we going to stop treating the workforce like children and start treating them like adults? When are we going to start giving information? When depends largely on us as leaders. We've got to stop demanding people trust us and give very little trust back. We also need to be vulnerable. It's cool and all that you don't want to share maybe that everything that you have going on in your life. And if you don't, that's fine. But when you start going, oh, team, I'm sick, I can't come in today, when really you're struggling from a mental health perspective, all you're doing is normalizing lying about what is wrong. When are we going to start being humans in the workforce? When are we going to start recognizing the humanity in all of us, that mental health is a real thing? We as leaders have the ability to affect that change. I talk about small bites as a recap here related to trust. Know that we're not going to achieve it. We're not going to gain that trust at the beginning, right off the bat. It's something build, grow over time. But the more of us who really jump in and start using our voices effectively and start doing the small things, the small bites, that is what starts the bigger movement of change. I give an example of Starbucks pretty regularly when they started their whole movement of not allowing for Black Lives Matter to be worn in their store locations. And if you remember, there was huge upcry about it, as there should be. Companies, businesses, consumers, and employees all use their voices collectively and affect change. It wasn't even 24 hours before they reversed their decision. There is power in the collective voice, and collective voices are sometimes very small. Small bites, small little things make a huge difference. And then finally, no one's going to trust you if you're not reliable, if I can't reach you, if you're hard to get a hold of, if you tell me you're going to do something and you don't do it. That's a really easy way to just completely lose trust. It's about relationship building, communication. Everything I've led up to this point is setting you up to have a trustful relationship as a leader in an organization. So that's the course, everybody. Now, this is a quick and dirty version. Don't suck as a boss. It's not hard. Let's just do a quick recap. And I know there are some questions. I'll get to them in just a second. So the first thing, let's recap the 6 words to guide you on your leadership journey. Be communicative, be accountable, be an ally, be respectful, be authentic, and be trustworthy. If you're all of the first 5, the 6th one is going to come to you naturally. Don't suck, people. Lead. Now, I do want to invite you really quick to accept a challenge. And I want to answer questions as soon as I jump through this section. So I do want to issue a challenge to everybody on today. I challenge each of you to get uncomfortable. Stop thinking about the leadership norms of yesteryear and start embracing things that might look a little different than what you're used to. Times are changing, and we as leaders have to change too. So head right now to my stories. Review the quick takeaways. Tag me in your commitment to growing as a leader. This stuff is hard. I gave you 6 topics, and I gave 5 topics in each one. So 30 things to think about. More than 30 things to think about. And what I really need all of you to do is just go with one that's not what you normally do, that's outside of your box, that you don't already have in your toolkit. Maybe it's accountability. Maybe it's authenticity. Maybe it's being more vulnerable. I don't know what it is for you, but I'd love to help. If you guys do that, I will absolutely give you more tools and resources. To everybody who is on this session today, I will give you a complimentary 30-minute coaching session with me. There's no obligation. It's just to chat through anything longer. So please set up time with me if you guys want to do that. But in order to get it, you have to commit to trying something new as a leader. Because let's face it, a lot of the old stuff just doesn't work anymore. And we have to stop being stuck and resting on our laurels, whatever those are, and start making some changes to ourselves so that we can change the world of work. All right, I have a couple of questions, so I want to jump in and make sure I get a chance to ask them. But I have to go back a while because it's just me, guys. So give me just one quick second. What company does one go to be hired for to behave in this new way? I don't know. I really hope that more companies get on board with good leadership. I really think that there's so much that organizations need to start thinking about differently in order to achieve success. That there's really, honestly, so many different things that we can do, that just little things to start shifting that narrative. Can I share my slides, or is this available on demand? Yes, I will share the slides for this on my website. It is not up there yet, but I will have it up there before the end of the night on notthehrlady.com. You can have access to this entire presentation. The next question is, how do you navigate a structure that is built to suck, where your efforts to not suck are derailed by those who are determined to keep the sick alive? I'm so glad you asked this question, because this is something that happens far too frequently in organizations. And to this, I can only say, organizations, you have got to do better. CEOs, influencers, change makers, fire the brilliant assholes, fire your friends. They're not helping you. If there is ever the sentence that says, that's just Karen, or that's just Chad, if you ever utter that statement, if you ever hear that statement uttered in your organization, you need to you have a choice to make. You should either run or you should sit there and try to affect change with this place, because this place needs it more than anything. There is a ton of opportunity for organizations to do better. But what do? You have a couple of options. You can keep pushing, and I am fortunate enough to know, I know a little bit about the situation that the question asker was asking about. And so, the thing is that until you're hit real hard for some organizations, sometimes they have to get hit harder than you would ever hope anyone would have to be able to see the error of their ways. And I think for you specifically, I think that's sort of been seen at this point. I'm not going to mention like all about it, but like, there's an opportunity for companies to go like, hey, we've been getting so many complaints about so-and-so, we have an opportunity to do something. If you choose not to, again, that says a lot about you, a lot about the organization. But that's where folks in my position in the C-suite, in the heads of whatever roles, have a real obligation to lead this charge. So if the organization is feeling whatever way, I would wager they don't have somebody managing their people plan. They don't have somebody thinking about it like a people strategy. And that's what has to happen moving forward. It's not going to happen overnight. In fact, everything I talk about from a leadership perspective is very new way of thinking about it. And the reason it's a new way of thinking about it is because people don't like to talk about it. And the reason people don't like to talk about it is they might get fired, which is exactly the entire theme of the very first episode of my show tonight. Talks all about fear in the workplace, which is where a lot of this comes from. You don't want to say something, and in some people's case, they do, and they're terminated. And that sucks. That's not how it should be. And there should be repercussions and, retribution for that sort of thing. I think so many companies get off, with doing this sort of behavior. And a lot of it falls within the legally available to do that kind of thing. And that's just a damn shame, especially when you kind of know that it's, rooted in some terrible place. And again, I go back to like, you as a leader, us as leaders individually, how are we being complicit? How are we not using our influence to affect the kind of change that's needed in workplaces like that? To affect and not have a place where everyone just sucks. And it's not as easy as it sounds. It certainly isn't the norm most places, but there are so many great organizations. I'm lucky. I work with a bunch of them, but it's a handful, right? In this sphere of millions of employers out there. I work with a handful of great ones, the ones I know a bunch that I don't work with that are great, but it's not enough. And our individual efforts as leaders can really help propel us to that different place. We've normalized bad behavior so long. Let's normalize good behavior. And that starts with us. That starts with hiring. That starts with leading. That starts with our approach. It's critical that we all individually lead the charge. And I had one more question at the beginning. I have not become a paying LinkedIn member yet. I know there are great benefits, but have budgeting issues at the present time, so still on the fence. Are there classes and webinars still available for non-paying LinkedIn members? So absolutely, I would encourage you to check out LinkedIn Learning. There's a lot of free courses there. There are many of us, myself included, who do webinars like this on the regular. This one happens to be, through LinkedIn, sponsored through LinkedIn. I do them all on my own. I have great friends and lovely business colleagues, some of whom are going to be on my show tonight, who do things exactly like this, where you can learn a little bit, some nugget of information, little bits and here and there, and enough just to take away and create some action with. So there are plenty of resources. Definitely, connect with a lot of people. But if you follow me, you'll see a lot of opportunities on my Not the HR Lady page, which is a business page, Not the HR Lady on LinkedIn, or myself, which is just Tara Furiani on LinkedIn. There's tons of opportunities to continue to learn and continue to grow. Some stories are not, some people do not have stories options. It's only accessed through the LinkedIn app. So you'll have to be on a mobile device in order to access stories. It's not something you can do on your desktop. All right. There aren't any more questions so far. If there are, though, please shout some more out. I'm going to start to wrap up. I would love it if you guys would join us tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time. We are doing our episode 1 watch party. You guys don't want to miss it. It's going to be so much fun. We are talking about all things people and absolutely no bullshit. Well, we're talking about a little bullshit, but solving the bullshit, I guess, is the key component, right? We're talking about fear in the workplace. We're going to be talking about employee engagement. And then at 8 o'clock, we have a live after show with some of your favorite LinkedIn folks, as well as mine and some of my very good friends, Madison Butler, Reese Byrne, Bree Burden, William Taylor, and Anna Morgan. We've got tons of giveaways available tonight. We have like over $5,000 worth of stuff to give away, including a full badge access to HR Transform, 10 hours of executive services from Exec Wranglers, an entire LinkedIn package and coaching package from My Career BFF. We also have something from the Business of HR, some free coaching with me. Wow, we're giving stuff away every 15 minutes, but better. We are having a really deep dive into fear in the workplace and employee engagement at 8 p.m. with a bunch of really cool people, deep diving our episode. If you don't make it to watch the episode before you come to the chat, that's cool. Episode will be up right after. You can watch it anytime. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you guys can join us. And if you're not already connected with me, please make sure that you do. I would really love to chat with you guys, engage with you. And I would really love it if everybody would go and do what I suggested with your stories. And I'd love to see what you come up with. Please take advantage of 30 minutes of coaching with me. You can read some of my testimonials right on my LinkedIn page. I love to cut the bullshit. If you're not into ass kissing, if you're into real change and real leadership, go up and get on stories and tag me in your leadership commitment to trying something new. And I will reach out to you and give you free 30 minutes with us. I am really excited and so grateful to have hosted this today in conjunction with LinkedIn and LinkedIn Stories and LinkedIn webinars. And I couldn't be more pleased that you guys decided to join us. Thank you again for being a part of this. And I hope to see you guys tonight. Also, do check out, I think they have another webinar through LinkedIn tomorrow. And I believe another one next week as well. So I'll make sure I post those on the Not the HR Lady page. But other than that, thank you guys so much for your time today. I look forward to seeing everybody tonight. And I hope this was great. Send me all of your notes and don't forget to add me to your stories. Talk to you soon.